Well, for anyone who may not be keeping up with Warriors news, Sky released. The second book in A Starless Clan certainly presented us with some fun characters, a fair bit of drama, and even some action with one of two particularly intriguing antagonists. That said, this is one of the most controversial books I've seen in a while, and I mean that in a literal sense. I have seen people who love and hate every part of this book, and I understand almost all of those sentiments. So what better time than this to bring on a few other people to discuss the book with me? I'm certainly too confused to do it on my own. With that said, hello, Moon, Akira, and Hawkkz. Thank you for coming on.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I don't know.
This gosh darn book. I seriously cannot come up with one single thing I think about it that lasts for more than about 5 minutes. Because every time I think about it, there's a possible way that it could go in a completely different direction, and I could have a completely different opinion on it tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. I kind of like jot down some things that I like want to keep in mind whenever I do videos or stuff like that. And my notes for the book is just like, it's either ranting or it's me going, wow, this part was really good. Wow, this part sucks. I just get it's one or the other. I don't really feel like there's any middle ground.
They kept doing good things and then reversing the good things that they did.
Yeah. So I think it would be best for us to perhaps begin with Frostpaw, because it feels like she's the most disconnected in that the other two stories are sort of ancillary to hers, and they don't actually connect to it until the end. At least Sunbeams doesn't. Nightheart is still not connected.
Right.
When it comes to Frostpaw, I'm a little bit frustrated by the lack of progress that we've seen. Like the first book definitely attempted to set up, like, say, Splashtail as being someone untrustworthy or someone a little bit suspicious. But this book was like on the subject of Splashtail, from what I can tell, and didn't really go forward in any direction there.
There are still people who are suspicious of him just because he's in a position of power now. He was made deputy for 5 minutes. He's not deputy. I'm not sure if he's deputy anymore. It's complicated.
I kind of like honorary deputy.
So he was only
honorary
deputy, and now Tiger Star's leader of River Clan.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I don't know what's happening. Is he in power? Who cares?
I don't know. I feel like the whole argument of him being like a little sus, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that seem to think that like Splashtail has some like ulterior motive, and I just think that's kind of their way of what I feel is going to happen is that Splashtail is probably going to end up becoming like the actual leader of River Clan. That just Warriors is never not obvious with their writing. And I feel like kind of like the subtext, and you know, it was pretty obvious that Owlnose was going to choose Splashtail, in my opinion.
Hint that the leader, like, what do you think about that in terms of how they say that it has to be unexpected choice?
I think that was
I don't really
stupid idea from Mothwing is the one that I've heard going around.
That's what I said on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm also not convinced of that one, but it could be true. I don't know anymore.
Yeah,
it's like the only one that's very blatantly unexpected.
Unexpected choice.
It's the only unexpected choice that's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of doubt Curlfeather anymore, because they're bringing into question Frostpaw's like actual connection with StarClan. And like whether or not that's actually like
I saw a theory that like Curlfeather died on purpose to like give Frostpaw messages.
No, under no circumstance would that happen.
I don't know
it's
about that,
a little out there.
But like it's also one of those things where I can totally see why all of these random and disparate theories are coming out of this arc in particular, because they are absolutely refusing to give us enough clues to get to an actual answer.
Yeah, they learned from Broken Code.
Where all of us knew it was Ashfur immediately.
Yeah.
But now there's not even enough to point us in a direction. All we know is there will be an answer eventually, and they promise it's good.
All we can assume is that Barry Hurt is evil, but we don't know if she's evil.
I don't even know evil. She's just
mean.
Yeah, I was waiting for them to bring up Darktail a lot earlier, so it was kind of weird that it was like.
Oh, it's weird because they brought it up as a point of sympathy for Barry Hurt, but they didn't go anywhere with it. They just because they turned around and made Barry Hurt so mean after that you can't really use that as a point of connection.
Well, the thing about it is, I don't think the Darktail thing was actually meant to excuse her actions or to even necessarily make us sympathize with her for them. They were just they were just to make us understand what a motivation might be for her actions, or at least one she might point to. She's taking it significantly farther than is warranted, but she's gotten the idea from her childhood that outsiders coming in can be dangerous. And because of that, oops, no outsiders anymore. Let's drive them all out and call them ugly.
Yeah, I guess.
Oops,
xenophobia.
Oops. Yeah. See, I kind of feel like it should have been brought up a bit earlier in the book, because I remember, was it the thing where she goes up and confronts Tiger Star or whatever? They're kind of I don't know. I don't remember exactly when this happens, but it feels like they're going to call back to it, and it just kind of it's put off. I don't know. That's just something that I explicitly remember.
They do have a lot of very different antagonists and antagonistic forces at work right now, and I'm not entirely sure how they plan to tie them together. Because there's Tiger Star, there's Barry Hart, who are very clearly not on the same side. There's whatever the heck is happening in River Clan, whatever's happening with Star Clan, and then just Thunder Clan being jerks for no reason. We're not solving that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. What do you guys think about the whole theory that it was Barry Hart that started the fight?
I don't know that.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
she doesn't want it.
5 minutes before, she was getting up all up in Tiger Star's face and being like, "Hey,
don't do that."
Yeah.
And it's not even don't do that. You'll be like, Tiger Star, that's an evil move to do. We should leave River Clan to themselves. But don't do that. I don't want to have to take care of River Clan. We should all be taking care of ourselves. Leave them alone.
I mean, she had a xenophobic
Leave them to
reason.
die.
Yeah. I don't know. People were saying that she's the one that yowled to start the whole thing going on. I was
I don't
know. I feel like that's kind of grasping for straws,
I believe
that's the nicest way I could put it.
Over Barry Hart. At least she just enjoys risk taking.
I don't think yelling is enough to start this conflict anyway.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, no, Tiger Star is clearly the instigator here in every way, shape, and form.
Right.
Even
am I crazy?
I mean, not to say River Clan shouldn't have fought back or anything, but even in any case, the people who started the fight was River Clan.
That is another thing I've heard, though, that apparently Splashtail seemed angrier than most during the River Clan battle.
He's just defensive.
Which, I mean, he's young and defensive and cares about River Clan. That's been his characterization the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know if this points to anything.
I think that's just showing kind of his qualities as a leader, in my opinion.
Or qualities as an antagonist.
I don't know.
Or qualities as a warrior.
I don't think
he's. I don't know.
I do not think that he's going to end up being an antagonist, especially with the way that they're taking Tiger Star, and we have basically two antagonists to deal with at this point, like you said. So I feel like it would be a little bit too crowded to have Splashtail.
Well, we know something has to be happening in River Clan. Someone
I don't want
to not to be trusted.
I don't
know
want
who.
Entirely write off Splashtail, because it could be entirely possible that these books written at the same time, they just chose not to put any Splashtail hints or Splashtail behaviors in this book, and obviously Cherith and Kate are writing completely separate books at completely separate times. I think that this actually is a situation where you could call upon the fact that these are being written separately, because the river was absolutely full of Splashtail being suspicious and Splashtail doing weird things and Splashtail being around when something bad happens. So
and that's
I
not
think
really here anymore.
I think it's possible that like they don't want you to guess this that early. You don't want to be suspicious of Splashtail that early, or anyone else they could be suspicious of, because that would be giving away whatever the heck they're going to do in book 3.
They did sort of trade it though for not including the mystery at all. Like RiverClan's suspicion is just completely gone in this book. Nothing happens. No one dies. It's clan drama, and they're upset about all that happened in the last book. But
I think the way they kind of like removed that doubt from Splashtail, well, not entirely, but you know how he's just characterized a bit differently in this book. I feel like at this point, especially with like the Frostpaw thing, that they're probably going to set up like some ulterior motive that's like beyond the clans, you know what I mean? I feel like that, you know, given how the way they handled these plots in the past, I feel like, you know, they're probably gonna do something stupid with like StarClan, or you know what I mean? Like
he's supposed to be Medicine Cat or something?
No. I mean, like, what if what if like, I don't know, like, I'm not crazy, but what if like Maple Shade, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that is, I don't know, it's just like that just seems the way, I don't know, it's just my opinion, and that's kind of what I picked up from the subtext, just with Splashtail seeming so, I don't know, convincing? I don't know.
I think they're Finleaping him, and by that I mean, do you remember in Arc Alderheart where
6.
Yeah, where they bring Finleap over to ThunderClan, and then for an entire book he doesn't say a word, and then the next book he's a character again.
It's true. But yeah, I get what you mean. I don't know. I don't really trust that they'll kind of, you know, I realize that this is just coming off of like the one of the most like supernatural arcs that they've had, but I don't know if I really trust them to keep the arc so tangible.
I'd really,
you know
really like them to.
I'm sure it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
As soon as we hit book 4, it's going to be something completely different. But for now, for the next coming book, I think it's going to be consistent for the 3 like it usually is.
At this point, they've brought it up in both of the first 2 books, and something is happening with Frostpaw and StarClan. But I still can't tell what, because she's literally talking to StarClan warriors and getting full-on conversations with them that are just as obtuse as usual.
What if they're kind of playing with the fact that she's not, like, she has to build her connection to StarClan? Because, you know how in the first book, she didn't really see people in her dreams?
Besides
right?
Leopard Star.
She got sent a dream. Yeah, but wasn't it kind of like hazy for her?
She couldn't see anyone but Leopard Star, but she could see Leopard Star. Right.
So, I don't know. I don't really know where to go with that, but I just thought that was something to bring up.
I'm mad at Curlfeather now. I wish Curlfeather was capable of giving good advice ever in her life. Because the two main pieces of life that her daughter, two main pieces of advice that her daughter has hung on to, trust no one and pick a deputy who's unexpected, have absolutely no answers. They just make her worried.
Right. And this is going a bit off the deep end here, but I feel the way that they're kind of like making you question whether or not Frostpaw really has a connection. What if, like, I feel like it's entirely possible that these dreams that she could be having, like, could just be that, you know? And like, what if her thing with Curlfeather was just like a manifestation of her grief?
She's really good at lucid dreaming, if that's the case, like in a realistic sense. Like she's incredibly good at tricking herself. She
doesn't even like go off track or do anything she didn't intend to or feel trapped. Like,
right.
It feels like a normal StarClan dream.
But the book calls attention to the fact that she has never really seen StarClan at this point, and that whenever she was talking to Fidget Flake, right, she doesn't really know what StarClan looks like through the way that he's describing it to her.
But
I think that her connection sucks.
I'm sure her connection is poor or misaligned or something is wrong with it.
She's only got one bar.
Yeah. It's technically working. She gets through sometimes, but gosh, is it laggy.
It's like
that whole deputy thing, that was supposed to come a week ago. Did you really not get that message until now?
Oh my god. Yeah. I don't know. Either way, I feel like I'm kind of glad that they're, making us question or casting that doubt, because it makes it more fun. I don't know, just for me to wonder.
It's very intriguing. It requires you to think about it, to wonder about it. It just doesn't offer any answers.
Right, but yeah, it's probably just a big nothing burger,
I have no way to say whether the conclusion will be fantastic and will tie everything together, or it'll fall apart and make no sense. We have no conclusion yet. There's no way to tell.
Well, this book does a very good job of falling apart, so I don't know.
Well, okay, before we get to that, though, I feel it is my absolute duty as a RiverClan fan to say that they talked about the shells. For one paragraph,
yeah.
They did it.
The absolute madman.
Yeah, that was probably something they had to check off at one of their meetings. Oh yeah,
the fans have really been demanding that we have them decorate their dens with shells. But we didn't mention any shells in the last book. Well, maybe they stopped decorating their dens because of all the grief and paranoia. What a good idea.
Yeah. Random obscure callback to the
Secrets of the Clans.
To the guidebooks. Yeah, that are definitely not retconned.
They have not read those guidebooks. They got that information from the Warrior Cats website.
They absolutely did. No, they got it from the website or the wiki.
Wait,
because fans were talking about it.
Promise? I feel like mention it.
They might have actually.
I think I remember.
Yes. No, there are no shells.
Oh.
There might be one shell.
Uh-oh.
How about feathers?
Yeah. Oh no. I'll read.
No, because that's going to get their story.
Everything. Yeah.
Fabricated memories.
Just leave it to someone in the comments to say.
So they don't have shells and feathers, but they do weave reeds and things into the den to make little play forts, which I think is close. And they also have unique floating dens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like somebody's niece probably just brought that up, and they were like, "Oh yeah, sure, sweetie, I'll make sure to let them know."
Basic point, I accept Crooked Star's promise. You have gotten the Sunnyfall seal of approval of portraying a good RiverClan culture, even if you didn't necessarily reference the Secrets of the Clan stuff directly. You get a pass.
Yeah.
So, does anyone have thoughts about Frostpaw as a character?
Not really a character.
Yeah. She's really sad a lot.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
It's almost like some parts where it's relatable, where she's really just it's so much the stress is when it really gets to her, it's oh, poor baby. It's
I know. It kind of sucks though, because this is just my opinion, but I think the RiverClan thing is going pretty good, narratively, written wise. I'm enjoying it more than the other two, but that's a different reason this time. But stop snickering.
Yep, we're not gonna get there. We're gonna wait a bit.
But I don't know. I feel like it's kind of sad that I was crinkling my water bottle there. I'm sorry. I feel like it's kind of sad that Frostpaw's character is kind of sacrificed for that plot.
One thing I think was really unnecessary was the Splash Tail romance.
My gosh, I was just about to bring that up.
It's like we didn't. I don't really see the point.
Yeah.
Like
one apprentice.
Yeah, I get that. Like, because they were saying that Frostpaw's siblings were like old enough to be warriors, so it's like they're trying to like
say brand new apprentice in the last book, which did not take that long. How quickly did your apprenticeship go?
I don't know. But yeah, they're acting like
they gotta meet their
I guess
quota.
There might be some miscommunication, but they were acting like they were warrior age.
They were. It's still the same season. She was a brand new apprentice.
Yeah.
I was figuring like 1 to 2 moons old, and now she's just about to be a medicine cat. What?
I mean, I think, and we had a lot of time pass with those characters being kids in TBC, didn't we?
Yeah.
Not to say they had enough training to be warriors.
They were kids for a little long.
The pacing.
I know that the last 3 books of TBC are like a week, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But one apprentice, whether or not that's close to not being an apprentice. 2, medicine cat, we really don't need this right now. 3, trauma-induced baby does not need a mate right now.
Yeah, they got like some quota or some be like a random offshoot romance that we just got to throw in there just to spice things up with very.
How did Shadowsight make it out alive?
I was just going to bring this up. Yeah, I was going to say, because as soon as I read that passage, I thought back to our last arc's poor medicine cat baby with little other to define him, who did not get a mate.
I don't think Shadowsight ever even dedicates a thought to it. Like, he doesn't even know, like, I'm a medicine cat, so I can't have a mate. He doesn't even think about it. It doesn't pass through his head.
Yeah.
True aromantic legend.
Yeah.
Too busy being book.
I wish there were better aromantic legends. But just comparing Shadowsight, who got through several books of being full-on warrior-aged, without even a thought of it, and then Frostpaw, who baby girl immediately gets a crush.
Oh.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they? Could you imagine if they struck her with lightning
could you
too?
Maybe? Could you make one she-cat who you don't give a mate ever, please? Thanks. Thank you. Anyway.
Yikes.
I'm actually liking Frostpaw's clan though. They're certainly not Shadow Clan, which is a high bar, I suppose. But a bunch of them do have little quirks, and they're fun to watch. I really like Owlnose.
Yeah,
I really like Owlnose.
So sad. I don't know about this.
I want to beat up Owlnose.
Owlnose is the pathetic boy I wish to love and hug.
I'm tired of pathetic boy. I want to beat him up.
There are specific variations of pathetic boy that I love. One pathetic boy who happens to live across the lake, I do not love. I do not love that pathetic boy. But this pathetic boy in River Clan, love him to death.
By the way, Moon, you nailed that about Owlnose. I didn't think he was going to turn out to be such a wimp, but you know,
I made that up. He's not.
I know.
Before this book, he's actually kind of a jerk.
I think it's so funny that that just so happened to be the character that I voiced.
I mean, we can continue on that track, obviously, now, but like, I totally just made him a wimp because his name was cute and not because it was actually his personality, which was
Maybe
jerk.
the authors also made him a wimp because his name was cute.
Probably.
Yeah. The whole point of like him in this arc is like the least qualified like leader in the clan.
Yeah.
Like they're.
Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna kill him.
We do a summary of the actual book in this video. If you haven't read it, you may be confused. The long and short of it is that River Clan is still searching for a new leader because Misty Star and Reed Whisker both died. And Curlfeather, who Frostpaw thought was going to be the leader, also died. So Curlfeather came to her in a dream, or were led to believe that, and told her that she needed to pick an unexpected cat to be leader, and she chose Owlnose eventually because he was a wimp who had never had an apprentice. And they got through this by using the loophole that technically deputies have to have an apprentice, not leaders. So it's fine.
I wish they had some constraints there. Like they ignore it even more later. They're like, oh, but like Splashtail, we don't care. You know,
Splashtail also has not had an apprentice. Yeah. And
I was about to bring that up.
Well, you see, there haven't been enough kits in the clan, so I mean, it doesn't really matter. They don't even do the thing where they promise to give him one. Like, absolutely no, nothing given.
None of them are getting
pregnant.
You think they want that kind of pressure?
I was about to say, there are no apprentices for him to have, you know? I mean, unless he just wants to steal Greypaw or something. I don't know.
Greypaw.
Yeah. I think when they ordered the rules from most important to least important, but like, we can only see the actual order on the website or something. Like, I think the deputy apprentice one was like near the bottom, I want to say.
They forgot it at first.
But they said there was going to be an order in the books, and then the actual order was exclusive to like a website article.
It's a website thing, yeah. So are the new rules. They say that there are new rules, but they haven't said what they are yet, except on the website.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Them forgetting that apprentice rule led so many kids to actually believe that the apprentice rule didn't exist anymore that I got like dozens of comments about how it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That totally could have been my fault in part because I made a video during the period where it was still gone, and I corrected it in a comment, but that's probably not enough.
You did this.
I did it all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's 14 out of 16 in the ranking.
I have a problem with that. This is one of the most useful and intuitive rules you have. Why don't you care about it more? Why don't you ever follow this rule?
But wouldn't they like misplace where the rules are at in their head? Because I can't even remember.
They can't even count to like 16 in the books.
They don't count.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the largest word I've seen them use in the books is 18, and that was just to describe how long a time skip was.
18 moons.
Yeah. Was it in narration?
It was Jay Feather in A Vision of Shadows. They just wanted to tell us how long the time skip was during the prologue.
You think if a cat has 5 kittens, they'll name the 5th one Fiber Kit?
Oh no! Anyway, do we want to try for Shadow Clan next? Because that's the next part around the lake. And also,
you start to edge and like get a little like closer to other certain like other plot. That's,
other things. But I mean, this makes perfect sense for a second choice because the end of the Shadow Clan plot is Tiger Star taking over River Clan. It's a perfect transition. It's fine.
Yeah.
So my thing is that I while other people might be petty and unreasonable and I hate them for it, I think it's really fun when Sunbeam is being petty and unreasonable because I like her more. But like I think like on a base level, like okay, so Light Leap is sorry to just take over when we start talking about Shadow Clan. I can't help.
Absolutely, go ahead.
So Light Leap is very, very eccentric in River, but she like calms down significantly in Sky. It's like it's like she just all of her energy just dropped. But
I think she gave half of it to Blazefire, and now they share energy.
Disgusting. Anyway, so Sunbeam keeps looking at Light Leap and thinking, "Grr, Light Leap, she's so unreasonable." But Light Leap is just being normal.
Light Leap is a perfectly normal cat now. She has lost everything.
Yeah, like the meaner Light Leap. I mean, the meaner Sunbeam is to Light Leap, the nicer Light Leap becomes.
Yeah.
I feel like that adds more dimension to her character. It makes her more human.
I don't mind her being petty and unreasonable because I think it's funny.
I still wish for Sunbeam and Light Leap to start growing closer again. One, because I think it would be nice for Sunbeam to learn to get over things instead of, trying to repeat her mistakes, but worse, for example. But But also because I want to be closer to Lightleap so we can learn more about Lightleap again and see how her arc's faring and how she's doing with her guilt complex.
Yeah.
Right. I was kind of glad to see them, what was that, like her second to last chapter? Where she kind of like halfway comes to terms with it, but the way that she does, not necessarily agreeable, but
when I said I wanted Blazefire and Lightleap to hook up for real,
because it would
a monkey paws curled and it was like, okay, they'll get together, but the character who would react the most to it won't care.
Yeah. I think because the parallels are obvious enough at this point, it's not quite as bad as Bristlefrost's reaction to Spotfur and Stemleaf.
I think it is insanely funny that they were kissing, though. That is really, really funny.
I think that's what they had to have been doing.
Yeah. Child-friendly way.
Yeah. They were tasting the prey in each other's mouths.
They were close enough to be tasting the prey in each other's mouths.
But you have to, like, this isn't scenting. This is specifically tasting. That's pretty close. That's touching.
Yeah.
I don't think they've thought about
that.
Well,
I mean, it could also be a reference to, like, cat tasting. They taste the air all the time, and it just means open your mouth and sniff. Which now I'm just picturing Lightleap and Blazefire nose to nose with each other, just mouth opened as if they were screaming, but just silently staring at each other.
They were trying to child-friendly as much as possible.
Describe kissing, yeah.
But like the cats don't kiss, so what are they going to have them do together?
Yeah.
Nose pressing. There's an actual thing for this.
Yeah, the image that you just put in my head, though, Sunny, of them just like opening their mouths and like just pressing their faces together. Thank you so much for that. I'm definitely not going to be thinking about that for the entire rest of the recording.
That was my first thought before I realized, oops, wait, they meant kissing, didn't they? I kind of miss Gull Swoop. She was lovely in the first book, and she's just not here as much, but that's okay. We have Fringe Whisker and who is Gull Swoop? Who is Gull Swoop?
Gull Swoop. I don't know who that is.
She's her weird aunt. He follows her around.
Gull Swoop?
Who?
Oh, Gull. Gull.
I don't have enough room in my tiny head for these names.
Sunbeam's lovable and very strange aunt who desperately wants Sunbeam to be happy and also to get a better boyfriend. She's a bit xenophobic as well. She thinks that she should think about maybe getting a real boyfriend because Blazefire isn't a real clan cat, you know.
Was that the one on Twitter where everybody thought that she was
everyone thought
Sunbeam?
that they were gay, except for the fact that they're a family, and that's nope.
Put that up. Please put that up in the video. Oh my god.
So romantic.
I'll have this flash up on screen. This is fine.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself when one of them was orange and one of them was brown.
Oh, it's absolutely perfect. But also Fringe Whisker. I think I should personally give Moon a floor for a second to just speak about Fringe Whisker, the 6-line wonder.
You bullying me?
No.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I really like Fringe Whisker, who has said nothing and did nothing. Because so I think that Fringe Whisker is accidentally being consistently written as somebody who is a foil to Nightheart. I think Fringe Whisker is being placed in a situation where she is actually being judged by all of the people around her and actually being held to an impossible standard. And she is trying her best in the face of that and doing everything she can to make these people accept her, even though they're not going to. And I think obviously this leads into thoughts about Nightheart, but I like her sitting out in the rain, even though she doesn't have to, just to prove to everyone how humble and understanding she is of her position in the clan. Like, I really, really like it, like how they're portraying her as I don't know. I see her and I go, yeah, that is someone who is trying to be accepted by the people around her as hard as she possibly can, and I like it.
Absolutely fair. Moon, for the record, some of my favorite characters include Otterheart, Sunstrike, Owlwhisker, Toadstep, and Hazeltail. I have no grounds to stand on if I was going to insult you for liking Fringe Whisker.
I knew you weren't actually bullying me. I thought it would be funny to ask if you were bullying me.
Yeah.
Some silly background character. My issue is that I'm pretty sure next book they're going to take any they're gonna take Nightheart's behavior in the face of adversity and get rid of it, and I'm a little bit worried about that because obviously in ThunderClan he's perceiving a lot of prejudice. He's perceiving a lot of animosity toward himself, but when he moves to I started talking about Nightheart. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
But when he moves to ShadowClan, it's going to be worse.
It is. It should be
logically.
I'll get to Nightheart. We'll get to Nightheart. Berryheart is also a thing that's happening in ShadowClan. Berryheart and her merry band of code conservatives.
Was Gullswoop attending that meeting?
Hold on. I do not have a perfect eidetic memory for warriors, amazingly enough.
Whole lot of nobody, in my opinion.
I just picked up every edgy name.
It was the ones with the really edgy names. I'm pretty sure that was just like literally like only them.
She was literally only in that opening.
Yeah. There's
actually quite a few cats who had very strong characterization in the first 3 chapters and then never existed again.
Also, if I remember correctly, they actually call Gullswoop his and him later in the book.
Trans?
In a Nightheart chapter.
Gender fluid?
I mean,
ambiguous?
You could say that, but not the case.
I mean, not the case, absolutely, but does she look ambiguous enough for Nightheart to just mistake her, maybe?
I mean, it could be from Nightheart's perspective. Gullswoop is a Tom, but I'm pretty sure it's just a mistake.
Well, yeah, no. In reality, it's absolutely just, oops, we forgot what gender this cat is. But we're living in a world where we're not going to get canon LGBT cats ever.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely from a headcanon perspective, you can say that.
Take it on. What the heck?
Gender fluid.
It's like, yeah, and they even like mentioned like that. Lightleap is Sunbeam is like almost like at one point she's more jealous of like Blazefire than she is of being with Lightleap than she is of Lightleap being with Blazefire.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Because she's gay.
Yeah.
She should be.
He's like, oh, I should be there comforting Lightleap. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but
so did I.
Of the names Sunblaze, Sunlight, and Night Sun, which one is the best? Because it's clearly Sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
And this is obviously the standard by which we judge ships. But yes, the Sunlight is lovely.
Yeah.
And Sunbeam is gay. Or bi. Bi is also okay. Just not for a certain Tom.
I honestly, it wouldn't happen. It's warrior cats.
Absolutely.
It is the most interesting. The problem is that's the most interesting relationship is Sunbeam and Lightleap, especially with Sunbeam like thinking like all of this bad about Lightleap for no reason because she's all jealous and weird. I think that also is makes it more interesting. But I wish warrior cats was wings of fire so bad.
Yeah. She's like from book 1, Sunbeam has always been more like focused on Lightleap than she ever has been on Blazefire.
We don't know who Blazefire is. He's random Tom number 32. Lightleap is cat of the century. She has such a beautiful personality that's present from day 1 of this arc. It's carrying over from a last arc's plot. It's beautiful. She's a lovely, lovely kitty, and I see what Sunbeam sees in her.
And like, she's more upset at the thought that Lightleap is with Blazefire than she is than when Blazefire said like, "Oh, we can't be mates."
Yeah.
Because like when Blazefire's like, "Oh, I don't worry, I'm not like being with Sunbeam." Like when he lies about that, Sunbeam's like, "Oh, that's great.
I'm so glad."
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if you broke up with me, getting with my girlfriend's the next best thing.
Wait,
you two are getting together?
But I don't. It's definitely like a completely different character.
Yeah.
He was a silly guy in Tiger Heart's Shadow. He was very goofy.
I would argue he's something of a silly guy now. He's just much more background about it.
A goofy little guy.
A silly little lad.
Yeah. You like...
silly little
pretty
lad.
Chill
He
about,
wants
like,
to get hurt. He don't realize what hurt mean.
Yeah, he seemed pretty chill about like possibly being at risk of dying when he had when he was sick.
Lightleap, can you take me into a raging inferno? I'd love that. You would make a perfect spot for our date.
This is the second time you have started role-playing while we were recording Sunnyfall.
I'm sorry, it's my natural state.
I'm joking, don't worry.
I also just really like Sunbeam. Independent of like even necessarily her pettiness or her relationships. I love her. I love that she's more self-reflective and that she can be petty or jealous, but then say, wait, I'm being petty or jealous, and think, hey, that's wrong. I don't want to be feeling this, but I am anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that introspection allows for progression past the ideas that she would have supported in the last book necessarily. And she can stand up to her mom and say, hi, Fringe Whisker's actually a great cat and you're kind of being mean to her. Don't do that.
So do you guys think that Fringe Whisker and Spireclaw are gonna leave? Do you think they're gonna leave?
I think Berryheart wants them to.
I hope that they don't, because obviously, I mean, obviously it would be better for them to leave. Like that's a good idea, but I hope that they don't, because now Nightheart is in the clan, and if you make Fringe Whisker leave and Nightheart come in,
there will be no
like there's no contrast there, and there's no.
I'd like
obviously I'm betting on a horse that doesn't even exist yet, which is the comparison between Fringe Whisker and Nightheart. I really want it. I think it would. I think having that would actually tell us how the authors feel about Nightheart, which is like a big question mark. And I'm sorry I'm talking about Nightheart again.
Oh, no, that's fair. This is a pretty good time to transition anyway.
Yeah, it feels like the only thing they're going to do with the fact that both of them are now in Shadow Clan is Berryheart being like, oh, now there's two. That's about it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Berryheart start hating on Nightheart. That's going to be so awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Or for Berryheart to suddenly change her mind and decide that it's okay when Nightheart's here because we like Nightheart. I don't know.
If Nightheart gets to Shadow Clan and he perceives Shadow Clan as treating him better than ThunderClan, even though Shadow Clan literally has a sect of xenophobic, evil moms, 1 million moms in Shadow Clan is sitting there conspiring against this clan swapping thing.
Ah, yes. So it was Snowbird, Whirlpelt, Stonewing, Yarrowleaf, Snaketooth, Grassheart, and Berryheart.
Bunch of random names.
Is the xenophobic crew.
I can't believe they would do that to actual person Whirlpelt.
That's a person?
Yeah, it's one of the cats in the book that's just literally named after a Warrior Cats fan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, who?
Whirlpelt is named after a Warrior Cats fan.
What's the story there?
I'm pretty sure it's a Blog Clan member. So it was Kate's doing that Whirlpelt was put into Warrior Cats. The editors don't actually know that Whirlpelt is a real person, probably. It's one of those things where like Kate tries to put as many like Blog Clan names as she can in the books, and only some of them get through. But Whirlpelt got through.
Nice.
Imagine her having to sit down and write that about like a real person.
Oh no.
Because
Congrats, you're in the bigging crew.
Yeah, it was Kate's book. This one was Kate's. Last one was Cheret's.
Oh no.
Yeah, so she had to be the one.
I'm so sorry.
God.
I'm sorry, little one.
At least she hasn't put any Blog Clan names in the Dark Forest yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Well, with this crew.
Well, white Dark
time.
Forest cat, yes.
Yeah, she made one of them married to a Dark Forest cat, which
That's not the same thing.
Could depend.
Who's that?
Ember.
Where is this lore coming from?
Ember Dawn.
Ember Dawn, thank you.
And
who is that?
Ember Dawn married to?
Who is that?
Married to
Silverhawk. Another Blog Clan.
Silverhawk. Okay.
Yeah. Married to Silverhawk,
yeah.
who has an intricate backstory now, kind of touched on for half a paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spitting out names.
I know. You guys got a knack for these names because I just
do
it's
have
like
an
in
eidetic
one
memory for Warrior Cat.
It's just in one ear and out the other for me because like I don't really pay attention to anything except for like the main characters, to be entirely honest.
Okay, but what's funny about Ember Dawn in particular is that Kate tried putting her in both Leopard Star's Honor and A Light in the Mist, probably assuming one of them wasn't going to go through, and both of them went through.
So in the span of a year, we had two completely different Ember Dawns in different time periods, different clans, and different situations. And boy, was that a confusing time.
Wow.
Strange.
Sorry, you only care about this if you're in very niche sections of the fandom where you want to list every warrior cat in the world. Anyway, because we kind of got onto it already with the Fringe Whisker into Shadow Clan thing, so I think it's Nightheart time.
My favorite.
So before anyone says anything, I think it's noteworthy for anyone who might not know yet that Nightheart is at this point probably the most controversial of the characters. There's a whole bunch of people who really love him and want to protect him as a pathetic boy who they think is an unreliable narrator. And there's a whole bunch of people who think that he's the most bratty cat in the world, very bad character, and is written with some sexist undertones based on who is harassing him and who isn't.
I don't see anyone defending Nightheart, but I'm just sitting in my corner.
No one has been defending Nightheart as this is a good cat, but they have been defending Nightheart as this is a good character because I think that they're going specifically in a direction where they will.
We're gonna call it out later.
Yeah.
It's a lot of faith.
I don't. I feel like I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. I don't.
Yeah.
I've been seeing that too, but what I don't understand is how exactly Nightheart is an unreliable narrator rather than he is just unreliable as a person. You know what I mean? Because those are two completely different things, and I feel like that distinction is, what determines whether or not you like Nightheart as a character, whether or not,
Well, so a lot of my foundational feelings about Nightheart, and I have spent a whole lot of time puzzling over this, because I don't think I fall on either side. I don't think I like Nightheart on an execution level, because I don't think he's been executed well. But I also don't know if I will like him better or worse in the future. And it's because he's been written with two very different directions. Right. He actually is distinctly, and I would say accurately, an unreliable narrator in some cases. There are times where a cat will do something innocuous or say something innocuous, and he'll say, "Oh, how dare they? Oh, they clearly hate me." Or, "Oh my gosh, Squirrelflight and Bramblestar are fighting, but why aren't they talking about me?" And I have confidence that that's a reasonable assumption one could make, at least, that this is an unreliable narrator. We're not supposed to like these guys or think he's right. Yeah. But there's also plenty of dialogue that is coming from other characters and not from his interpretations that is just really mean and illogical and berating him for no reason to make us sympathize with him. Which, and also when he's off with Sunbeam in the quest they go on during the book, he just loses his pathetic stinky man status for a while somehow. So I genuinely cannot tell whether or not the writers want me to sympathize with him or say that he's a stinky man who's an unreliable narrator and should learn that he needs to change. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And that would determine my feelings on it.
I don't think the writers know either.
They don't know either, because they've been going for both directions. They have specifically been putting in, it's not like the River Clan thing where they haven't given us anything. They have given us both of these routes. They have given us Nightheart is a badly written sympathetic protagonist where the whole clan hates him illogically, and he's totally right in thinking that he shouldn't have to live up to Firestar, and that no one likes him for it, and everyone's being mean to him, so we should sympathize with him. And also that he's a stinky, unreliable narrator who needs to be taught that he's wrong, and who will be treated exactly the same way in ShadowClan because it's about his behavior.
Right. And I get that. I could see, because it really depends on where the next book goes with his character.
Yeah.
But I don't really think that he's unreliable in the sense of the way that he perceives what's going on in the narrative, rather than he's just uncontrollable of his own emotions, And I don't know. It really depends on, especially with the way they're going to handle this alleged relationship with Sunbeam. This is something that I feel like they kind of have to point out is wrong for it to really be satisfying to me.
I think the best possible scenario, which is what I've heard a lot of people who like Nightheart say will happen, or say they think will happen, the best scenario is that next book he shows up at ShadowClan, they let him stay for a bit, and within a couple weeks he's acting exactly the same. He realizes he's the problem and ThunderClan wasn't. But in that case, and also that Sunbeam didn't actually like him that way, she just, was friendly. But
he does like him that way, though. Based on her chapters.
She thinks he's handsome and he's great and he's lovely. But maybe after 2 weeks spent alone with
living with this guy,
him like that. Oh, no, wait, I don't like him.
Yeah.
But even in that case, you're then sort of accidentally justifying the unfair harassment he got in the last book and the first part of this book, and saying that, actually he should live up to Firestar, which that's its own problem that we need to be solving.
I don't think they're gonna say that ThunderClan was right to bully him. That would go against.
It would absolutely be very weird for them to say that ThunderClan is right for bullying him, but it would also be very weird for them to say that Firestar doesn't matter, because they've been doing exactly the opposite.
But they made his name change like a whole big deal. I think they do care that they're gonna try to end with some balance, saying we should remember Firestar, but you don't have to be like Firestar. You can be Nightheart. You can be yourself. I think that's where they're going with the moral.
I would love for that to be the answer.
That's
basically what they said at the end of his warrior ceremony, where you only kept half of Fireheart's name.
Yeah, but I just hate the way that they are, writing Squirrelfight and Sparkpelt and his sister in this book. I don't think that they have to walk over their characters to really force this narrative, because I don't
to one cat being mean or something.
I love how Sorry,
go ahead.
Myrtle Bloom, never saying a word in her life, comes out of the womb and starts yelling at Nightheart. It's like, wow, girl after my own heart.
She literally is a Firestar descendant, and she shouldn't care.
I feel like that whole. It's a good thing that you brought this up. The stuff with Lion Blaze and whenever they were going off hunting that squirrel or whatever, in that whole chapter, his whole first chapter, I feel like that was just kind of their way of bridging the gap between the books, because it's not they really don't call upon this hatred, for Nightheart, really for the rest of the book, except for the way they kind of, stab Squirrelfight.
Yeah. Well, yes, but also Brightheart definitely should have been able to stick up for him better, because she's one of the people in the clan who should most understand why someone would get a name change if their previous name didn't suit them. But anyway, Sparkpelt, Myrtle Bloom, and Finchlight all spoke extensively in Nightheart's first chapter, specifically to berate him and say, hey, you suck, how dare you destroy Fireheart's name, blah, blah, blah. And then all of them just were not in the rest of the book at all. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're necessarily getting Sparkpelt better, and that was just a bad chapter for her, and she got better over the course of the book. Sparkpelt got better, his treatment got better, because we just didn't see them ever again.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty weird thing to drop. Yeah.
They're such big characters in the first book.
Yeah.
Or at least Sparkpelt and Finchlight.
Myrtle Bloom, I mean, this chapter was her only lines in the series.
I just think it's weird, though, that, like, they try to, like, branch it out to characters like Lion Blaze and what was it, like Finleap, right? I think it was Finleap, or I don't know. Yeah, but then whenever he actually goes to leave, it's kind of it just, I don't know. I feel like they're really forcing that whole side of his story super hard, and at times they can't really. It doesn't feel like it's being written in the way that you would expect for us to really, sympathize with him on that level. Yeah. But I don't know. It just feels too inconsistent, and I don't know.
I'm also, as sort of a side note to this, getting more and more convinced by your theory about the illegitimate bloodlines moon, because there was, first of all, there's Myrtle Bloom, who's descended from the Leafpool line, which apparently makes her not a Firestar descendant somehow. But then also when Nightheart was in the medicine den, talking to Alderheart and Jayfeather, and both were more or less comforting him in their own ways. Nightheart specifically pointed out that maybe Alderheart could understand him because he had trained as a warrior at first, and then ended up becoming a medicine cat instead, maybe because he didn't feel like he had a place as a warrior. And also he was a Firestar descendant, so he probably had to live up to that legacy too. And he never once mentions that every bit of Alderheart's story in that regard would also apply to Jayfeather, who's right next to him.
Yeah, even Jayfeather, like, he was, even if they, like, because he did grow up thinking that he was Squirrelflight's son, so, like, even if it's, like, illegitimate.
He grew up as Squirrelflight's son. He was really Leafpool's son. He was always not only a Firestar descendant, but tied to Firestar in a prophecy and living alongside Firestar.
Yeah, he had it way worse than any cat.
Way worse as far as the legacy thing.
I pretty legitimately believe that it's kind of an unspoken rule at this point that Leafpool's bloodline is not being treated as the same as Squirrelflight's bloodline.
Which is really heckin' weird.
Because she had her children out of wedlock, you see.
Yep. This is literally direct Firestar descendant. We're not even having to go through the adoption route. This is literally her child.
Jayfeather's double Firestar's grandson.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, in this book, Bramblestar is senile.
Yeah.
And Bramblestar might have PTSD. And Bramblestar is having trouble confronting other clans, doesn't want conflict with other clans, and Bramblestar creates an entire setup situation where he can yell at his wife in public.
Yeah. He has no energy or mental space to process anything except how best to punish his wife.
I'm 100% sure that their intention with this scene was that Bramblestar was simply using Nightheart, because Bramblestar, 1, doesn't care about the mission, 2, specifically tells him to grab another, to pull another warrior into this situation, and 3 is completely disregarding of everything once he gets what he wants, which is to yell at Squirrelflight.
There was nothing in particular he actually wanted to learn about Tigerstar. He never before and never after cared what Tigerstar was going to do with River Clan. In fact, it was Squirrelflight who did care. But for this moment, when it means he could... It's super uncomfortable. It's really, really uncomfortable.
Nightheart gets used as a pawn in their relationship drama and by Bramblestar, and still thinks to himself, God, Squirrelflight is awful.
I know, that was so bad. Oh my god.
It would be so bad if Squirrelflight became leader. She gives me chores.
That was so selfish. That was so self-centered of him. He literally...
It's like, the only thing he cares about is getting together with Sunbeam, I think, at that point in the book.
Yeah.
He doesn't even care about Bramblestar's mission or anything about
Bramblestar's mission. Well, Bramblestar is giving me something important to do, which gives him a point over Squirrelflight. But the more important thing is that I can use this mission to talk to the one person who gives me the time of day, and that's Sunbeam. Surely we'll be mates because she doesn't hate me.
You know, the whole thing about their relationship, though, is that he doesn't even like really consider it until it's like something that like he is kind of spurred on by this, oh, I don't fit in to, you know, my clan at home or whatever, and it's kind of like he's just trying to use her as like an escape mechanism. You know,
that is what it sort of felt like when they were on the journey, and Nightheart had been venting to Sunbeam, and she said, hey, well, maybe you just don't belong there as much. I mean, my clan sort of pities me the whole time. I don't always feel like I belong here. And he said, wow, yeah, maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I belong with you. I'll be with you forever.
Yeah, but the way that that's kind of translated is it's kind of creepy, man. It's just kind of creepy. Like that's just me speaking. But it's a bit compulsive, and if they don't kind of like end up breaking up or something, I feel like that kind of inadvertently justifies that kind of behavior from him, and I don't know if that's really a good message to be sending. To be entirely honest, he's very
rash and impulsive about, well, everything in his life, but apparently his love interest as well. So Sunbeam is also definitely still immature, as was Bristlefrost, but both of them are more mature than their respective love interests at the time where they first confessed their love, sort of. called their love interests handsome.
When it comes to the creepiness of Nightheart specifically, I don't think it's actually all that different from the creepiness of Rootspring, who was honestly, in my opinion, way more creepy than Nightheart was. Like, at the very least, Nightheart is like on the same level. As
they are both warriors at this point.
Yeah, they're both warriors, and she's getting along with him, but the early Rootspring and Bristlefrost was like really, really uncomfortable compared to this. Like, I mean, not saying that I don't hate this more or less, but I definitely think that when it comes to how creepy a male warrior cat's protagonist can feel, I think Rootpaw was way up there.
Yeah, I think it's just a recency thing that's really kind of driving that, you know, because we just got this book, you know,
after
rather than
like 1 star, and I'm just
yeah
focusing in on all the creepy guy man.
I mean, this is very much still up in the air, is the thing. We still have the chance not to actually affect it. We're not writing these books. These books are already written. But there is still a chance from us as the readers that these two don't get together and figure out that actually they are not helpful to each other. That their arcs would be significantly better if they learned to grow on their own and didn't enable each other's habits, where that isn't a possibility with Bristlefrost and Rootspring anymore. They're a very done deal.
Well, very done. Speaking of done deal, it's like they did spend a few moments in this book calling back to it.
Yeah, they did. I actually really liked that, in the same way that I liked the ending of A Light in the Mist, the epilogue section, I should say. Rootspring's grief and how he expresses it, and becoming a slightly harder person. Like, I like that. It's very much a progression from the last arc, even if I don't think you necessarily should have taken this route to begin with. I like what you're doing with it.
I think it's kind of funny that they specifically say, yeah, this guy is the same age as Nightheart, but he's matured by his angst.
Right. It is so funny that they have like Rootspring kind of like lead this thing when like Fidget Flake spent like basically half his life traveling. Yeah. I know, right? And Rootspring like went out like once.
I went into the dark forest.
Yeah, and Fidget Flake was like the only one that like actually was there. You know, that and Rootspringer's like, oh yeah, guys, follow me, don't worry.
Fidget
I just thought that was so funny.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. Like, he's like,
I don't know why he's on the book.
No, he has such like a
so
weird
funny.
Because Fidget Flake in the journey, he was all like, you know, friendly, chill and stuff. But when he's in River Clan, he's all like mean and he's like, Yeah. I found Catman.
The plot needed it. That's how all these background characters work.
I think if a kit had died because you didn't check you had Catmint and you haven't yet been given a reason, I think that's a fair thing to be angry about. But because Fidget Flake has no other characterization, it just feels disjointed.
Yeah, actually, a theory I wanted to bring up on the Catmint. Do you think it was planted there?
No.
In the sense that
it's possible.
Like, one point they really wanted to. One point they brought out was that how did Tiger Star knew that the Catmint thing was, even though Fidget Flake didn't have enough time to tell him.
Oh my God! It's because Berryheart, guys. It's because of Berryheart.
What was that voice?
I don't know. It was just. I don't know. I feel like I don't really, in the nicest way possible, I don't really respect Berryheart enough as an antagonist yet for her to really do that. That's just my opinion, though. And I genuinely think that Mothwing just kind of forgot, you know, and I would rather believe, and again, this is just my opinion, that somehow he got the information rather than it was just Berryheart that just lied and it somehow happened to right. But I don't know. I don't know if I
think I zoned out and I have no idea what led to you making that voice.
I don't know either.
Akira was talking about how what is it that the Catmint was planted.
Yeah, how did Tiger Star know about the Catmint if Fidget Flake didn't have enough time to tell him? Because he was already in River Clan when like Fidget Flake was at the moon pool.
See, I would accept both. You know, if I don't really, if it was either one, like Berryheart or Fidget Flake, I don't know. I just I don't think.
Okay, but
Berryheart would really, you know, how would Berryheart get it there?
I can see this book's Tiger Star immediately. The first thing he can do, going into memorizing the smell of Catmint, going into the medicine den and looking for Catmint the best he can, just to say, ha, you did have some.
I mean, to be fair, as far as Warriors herbs go, Catmint seems to be a pretty commonly known one because it's such a distinctive and enticing smell. So it wouldn't shock me if he was able to do that.
I love Tiger Star in this book.
Like, Tiger Star is so great.
Yeah.
His kid died, and he's like, I'm not going to. He tells people, I'm not being petty because my kid died, but I am being petty because my kid died. I am being so petty that I will ignore taunts that I'm becoming like my old grandpa. Because, well, I mean, who cares? To be fair, he's not motivated by the same things that Tiger Star was.
Not in the slightest. He doesn't actually want power. He wants revenge for his kitty.
Yeah, but I feel like they are kind of like setting it up in a way that like somebody had to have told him, you know, because as funny as
they did directly point it out.
Yeah, as funny as it would be for Tiger Star to just go around sniffing everybody's like medicine cat, then I don't know. I feel like it kind of has to be someone that led him to that fact, you know.
I find it interesting because this is the second time that Tiger Star's like the antagonist of like
yeah. Tigerheart is a character I will never be able to have one solid opinion on because who he is changes in every arc.
Yeah. Because and Broken Cody is all like the good guy.
Do you remember Power of 3? Does anyone remember Power of 3? I remember Tiger Paw in Power of 3. He wasn't like this.
Okay, but like you're gonna hold a baby to to the same standard.
Do you remember,
but like Tiger Heart?
Yeah, do you remember Tiger Heart and Omen of the Stars?
Do you remember when
kind of an abusive guy?
No, but that's the thing. Tiger Heart and Omen of the Stars is so enamored with Dovewing that he's willing to blackmail her into getting back into a relationship with him.
Yeah, that's not enamored.
Think is very in line with his current behavior.
Enamored, I would grant as something that carries over, but he definitely does not treat he doesn't treat Dovewing now the way he treated Dovewing then.
Well, he has her now.
Or even the way he
doesn't need to pull his evil tricks anymore.
It's not even the way he treated her in Tiger Heart Shadow. In Tiger Heart Shadow, he was almost acting like he didn't care about her, but he just needed to go after her because his poor silly wife would get herself hurt.
Okay, Tiger Heart Shadow is a thing, though. That's like a weird dream that I feel like I had.
Tiger Heart is weird, is my point. But I love Tiger Star here. He's so wonderful in that he's so bad.
I feel like they've pushed the we should all be friends and not like have battles so hard that like whenever they have an inter-clan conflict, it has to be super forced by doing something. By doing something like making Tiger Star be angry.
Right.
I don't know that it's even that forced, though. This seems entirely within reason for him. He has a motivation, and he has nothing precluding him from doing it. He has no particular reason to not slightly tread on Tiger Star the First's paw steps. He's only doing it in superficial ways, so... Yeah, going over to take over RiverClan to make sure they get some order and that he gets revenge for his kitten. That seems fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm glad that they kind of drew attention to that like comparison to Tiger Star though, because it's a good, I feel like it's fun to keep that in mind just to see how much like Tiger Star it'll really end up being.
And I don't think it's going to be like 100% evil. I don't.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not.
But especially for Tiger Heart, because apparently Tawny Pelt's kids grew up on stories that Tiger Star was actually, a strong Shadow Clan leader and just a little bit evil. They don't remember that. They have no idea what Tiger Heart grew up on. But it seems more likely that he would be okay with following Tiger Star in this regard, as long as he doesn't do the whole brutally murder your family thing.
Yeah. Call me crazy though. I kind of, whenever he showed up at RiverClan, I thought that scene was like kind of cool. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it absolutely was. I loved it.
It was raw. It was very raw, and man, the way that he was like threatening to kill who I don't remember who it was, but like he was like strangling someone like right after they were just getting off the fight with RiverClan or whatever, and they got pushed up against like the wall of something. I don't remember, but I don't know. I think it's kind of cool that they're kind of like playing with this character of whether or not he's really evil or what he's doing is justified.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Him like yelling at them to trust me. I can save you.
I know. If
like he has this like complex.
Sunbeam felt the battle slow around her as every warrior turned to watch the Shadow Clan lead. He bared his teeth. "Do you want to die?" he snarled. Duskfur stared back at him defiantly. "I would always choose death to save RiverClan." Tiger Star glanced at her clanmates, bloody and trembling beside the camp wall. "Will you let them die too, just to save your pride?" Duskfur twitched, blood welling in her fur where Tiger Star's claws pierced her flesh. "This isn't pride," she growled. "This is survival." "We're here to help you," Tiger Star hissed. Duskfur's tail was lashing. "Is killing us part of your plan?" "I gave you a choice," Tiger Star growled back. His claws were so deep now that Duskfur could barely move. "Surrender or die," Duskfur croaked. "Is that a choice?" Well, sometimes cats need to be shown when they need help.
I love Duskfur in that scene.
Yes.
I love that scene. Yeah,
it's wonderful.
I'm glad that he's not such like a flat, one-dimensional antagonist, and there's like some actual depth to yeah.
Like he's clearly in the wrong in every regard, but he also he's not just going out for power or revenge.
Yeah, I think they're gonna like
the clans today.
Like at the end of the day, he's gonna like probably like still be leader or something.
Right.
Unless they practice their new warrior code rule.
I don't think they would practice it on Tiger Star, though.
Yeah, gotta hit.
I feel like what they really needed in Warrior Cats for a really long time has been leaders who are acting in their clan's best interest, but not acting in the best interest of the other clans. And the problem with characters like Bramblestar is that their intention behind the character is to make them accommodating to everyone and always finding the best solution, like a Firestar-esque thing. But I think every single leader, sans maybe Misty Star, has been a Firestar-esque thing for years.
And Misty Star was also a Firestar-esque thing originally.
Yeah, but they make her like an isolationist.
Yeah, they switched that around pretty quick.
They still need to give Hairstar a character. Wind Clan is so absent.
Wind Clan is absolutely irrelevant.
Yeah, they definitely need like a main character next arc or something. Like I don't see how else.
Like when they were complaining about why Wind Clan didn't send a cat on the journey, it's like because Wind Clan doesn't have any cats right now.
Exactly.
There's no main characters.
Yeah, Hairstar is a is just like a little model that they've put in the place of Wind Clan leader until they can get their precious crow feather in there.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
When do you think that's gonna happen?
Crowstar?
Yeah.
My guess is about 2 arcs from now.
I'd say they've been going on a pretty regular pattern for a while of killing exactly 1 leader per arc.
No, I think Leafstar probably has to be next.
Leafstar has to be next.
I don't want her to go
because they always kill the oldest. I mean, they don't always kill the oldest leader, but they like to kill the oldest leader. She's
the best leader around the clans, but at this exact moment, she's the only she-cat. And at this exact moment, she's the only she-cat. But she's also the oldest cat and the only modern leader SkyClan has ever had. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're due for a change up.
Yeah. It's no secret that I like Hawkwing because he's a stupid, dumb cat who makes bad choices and is awful. But like, I think that like. I really like Hawkwing, right? Because I think that he's entertaining and that he's a garbage person. But, like, the problem here is that, like, Leafstar's the only girl. And I like her, too. And if they kill off Leafstar, they're just going to replace her with Hawkwing. And it's like, okay, again, one of my favorite characters. But for comedic reasons, I don't want him to be leader.
He should not be leader.
Yeah.
And like we have Owl Nose across the lake right now.
I do think like whatever happens, I think the new River Clan leader is going to be a girl.
Oh, I hope so.
I think they're aware of the gender like distribution.
I also hope so.
That's what I think it's going to be Mothwing. I'm almost sure.
Yeah, they want their main characters.
It seems like the most likely choice. I don't think they would put in the effort to fully develop another character to the point that we would accept them as leader. And Mothwing is the easy choice that a lot of people would like.
Yeah.
I really hope that...
fits with the arc's title.
It does. How she would get her 9 lives, though?
I really want to see her 9 lives.
Like she's just too cool.
Maybe they're going to dunk her in the moon pool and she's going to have no choice like Tiger Heart.
Oopsie doopsie. You just forcible Star Clan now.
Yeah, but the cats with 1 life survive just as long as the cats with 9 lives anyway, so...
It's true.
Do you really need them?
Bramblestar sure still has 8 lives. How does Bramblestar still have 8 lives?
I don't know.
Can we just forget that he has 8 lives, or scourge him open?
I don't know how he didn't lose a life in Squirrel Flight's Hope. Man. I don't know how he didn't die there. It made no sense for him to not die.
Because he decided to keep himself out of most of the battles.
No, but he literally had like his throat cut open at the end of the book, and he literally just didn't die.
Yeah, no dying for me today. Yeah, I just don't feel like it.
Yeah,
it's really convenient.
He got like ganged up on by like 3 of the sisters and got absolutely murked, and he just walks off. And it's like, why have these lives if you're not gonna kill him? It doesn't make sense.
So I made a Twitter post. I think a couple weeks or a month, but some amount of time, where I was looking at the real world dates that ThunderClan leaders had been in power for, going by the main series. And I really did mean that to be about real world dates, like how long we had had to live with the knowledge that they were leader, not necessarily how long they were leader in canon. But under that, there were a sizable number of people wishing specifically for Bramblestar to be scourged, or to get a similar death, to get all of those lives taken away immediately.
No, like as of like next year, it's like The Last Hope is going to be closer to Into the Wild than it is to present day.
Yeah.
As of April of next year.
I feel like what they're going to do with him is that, and this is a big hope, or an if, what if, maybe he retires and then, he loses his lives that way and then dies. I don't know. Because I other than that, I don't really see any other way that he actually does go. If they even kill him at that point.
I think him being the first recipient of the change of the guard leaders rule.
I think he's too far. Likely. The way they're developing him, I think he's too far gone to like stay ThunderClan leader.
Yeah, especially for 8 more lives.
Oh God. Yeah.
He's gonna be an elder or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That said, I can't tell if I want Squirrel Star to be leader or if I want her to get some bloody rest.
I want her to be leader at this point.
I do, yeah.
I think that making her rest is just dragging her down with Bramblestar when she's still completely capable. Like,
that's
it
fair.
Would be like if she retired instead of becoming leader, the whole thing would be her saying, "Oh, well, I couldn't live without Bramblestar. I can't be leader without Bramblestar on my side. I'm going to retire with him."
Fair.
And that is like putting her down to accessory, And I don't want that.
Fair. Squirrel Star it is.
Wasn't who was supposed to be leader in The Last Hope? Because wasn't the whole thing with that Brambleclaw was going to run away, and everybody kind of thought that it was going to be Squirrelflight that became the leader. Then I wish that kind of happened.
Well, they didn't decide at the time who would have been leader, but I think it was Kate or Vicky who mentioned once that there was a possibility of Brambleclaw not becoming leader, and they decided against that. But we don't know who the alternative was.
I would have written that very differently.
I have been writing that very differently.
Like when it comes to ThunderClan leader, ThunderClan deputy, at this point, now that they've killed off Darling Rosepetal, I think that I'm fine with Ivypool. I'm fine with any number of cats they could choose as long as it's not Lion Blaze.
Yeah.
You see, I feel like they kind of are going to in my mind, it's either Lion Blaze or Ivypool, and I really want it to be Ivypool, but I feel like they're going to make it Lion Blaze.
I feel like in the Broken Code when they made Lion Blaze deputy, they kind of almost played that they showed us that he would be not that good of a leader.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like they're aware Lion Blaze is kind of not very mature.
This guy in charge of your clan.
They also did that under very limited choice because only so many cats had actually defected at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Who's it going to be, Twig Branch or Lion Blaze?
Oh yeah, Twig Branch, who hasn't been in a book in how long?
Yeah.
Well, she showed up to be afraid of Bramblestar a few times.
Oh yeah. And she was mentioned by name, once in this book or twice?
Why aren't we talking about her PTSD?
My single point of contention around Squirrel Star is, and it's not really even actually around Squirrel Star, but has there been another ThunderClan leader that we've seen any large chunk of their leadership for who has had only one deputy ever? Their first deputy becomes leader.
I don't think that they're trying to follow that kind of pattern, though. I don't think that any sort of pattern is in their mind for deputies.
Oh, I'm sure it's not. It's just an oddity.
Yeah, but were those deputies Squirrelflight though?
They weren't. You're right.
Yeah.
Isn't they have some of Dawn of Clans leaders have their deputies be the next one?
That's true.
Shadow Star. And I think Owl Star too. Or no, what was that?
Well, Lightning
Tail, never mind. Never mind.
Came before Owl
Star. Oh yeah, and Lightning Tail died. Yeah. But yeah, Gore Star.
Gore Star, you're right. Yeah.
It's kind of a shame how long in real life Bramblestar has been leader. When obviously the changing of the person in power is one of the most interesting aspects of Warrior Cats from from anyone else's perspective. And obviously, they could have just been, moving clan to clan, arc to arc, if they wanted to make this more interesting. And
they didn't do that.
They did. They did that for this arc, right?
Technically. Well, they moved in the sense that they added a clan, and in the last arc they added Sky Clan, or yes, well, sort of. In the last 2 arcs, at some point in them, they added Shadow Clan and Sky Clan, but they have never taken away Thunder Clan.
Okay, so we have probably about 15 minutes left, and we have not talked about Night Sun at all, basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we need to talk about Nightheart,
thing, don't we?
I should point out...
We did talk about them when we were comparing them to Bristleroot.
I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah, but...
Not on their own merits, not by their own interactions.
They have Nightheart set up to be this guy who's overexcited to prove himself and always thinking about the ways in which he can show off to other people and how he can be rash or show his stuff or whatever. And then suddenly he's just this complete blank slate whenever we're outside of his head and looking at him.
Right, yeah. I don't... It feels weird for them to kind of, escape that characterization that they were, building him up so much on in the first book, only for it to, return after they get home. And that really brings into question the... I don't know how long
intentionality
their relationship is really going to last. Because how much does Sunbeam really know about edgy Nightheart? Basically, nothing at all.
Well, yeah. So here's
everything he's told her.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Which is heavily skewed. But so here's my problem, which is a consistent problem with Nightheart. But there's 2 possible reasons for this. One, he happens to be better when he's not surrounded by people he's specifically chosen to hate yet. And then when he gets to Shadow Clan, they will find out that actually, no, it was his behavior, and he doesn't have an easier time here than in Thunder Clan. And it's an unreliable narrator thing. Or, thing number 2, as soon as he gets to Shadow Clan, he's going to be that blank slate forever, and he and Sunbeam will live happily ever after Wahoo.
I do not like option 2.
I also don't like option 2.
I want Sunbeam to see him, and this is a thought from a mysterious, more mature book than Warrior Cats in the back of my head. But I want Sunbeam to see him and realize, oh my God, I was using this guy as a form of escapism. I was using this guy to think like we were mutually trying to get away from our situations in each other, and that's all we had. I would love that, but it's not happening.
Yeah, absolutely not.
To give them the benefit of the doubt on that, though, I feel like they kind of are going to set up in a way that they're not going to be together, or at least not for very long, because, right after Nightheart, intends to go profess his love to her or whatever, whenever he goes sneaking over the border, they go to Sunbeam's chapter, and they explicitly say in the first couple of paragraphs that she thinks that he's her friend. Yeah. And there is absolutely some coding there that says otherwise, especially the whenever she starts thinking about him again at the end of the chapter. But I don't know. I really hope that they don't stay together, or if they are together for not that long. So yeah,
it's one of those things where they legitimately have set up for both options, and they could go in either direction. And I don't really like Nightheart so far, because by his execution, he has been too contradictory. Right. And there are aspects of him that I just don't like in his initial framing. Absolutely. But which direction they go on from here will depend. It will determine: do I hate this guy, or do I like him and I think he had a rocky start?
Yeah, this is just a thing that we're gonna have to look back on in like 6 months from now, whenever Shadow comes out, and then we'll really be able to. Oh, hold on. Let me repeat that. That was my door. My door is very squeaky. That was my cat. We'll really be able to reflect on whether or not that, growth as a character. I don't really know how to put it, but that whether or not that characterization is really something that was like beneficial to Nightheart as a person, So
I really have my doubts that they are going to do character development, because if you look at previous Warrior Cats books, the character development is usually like, okay, so take Briss for example. She made her self-worth this guy in her clan that she liked, and then when that didn't work out, she switched gears to making her self-worth some other guy, and she realized, wow, that first love wasn't love, this second love is really love, and that's all she did. That's her entire character change. And I can't remember a situation in which Warrior Cats had an immature person who realized their own immaturity and
became mature.
And I'm really worried that they're just going to light switch him.
Yeah, that's where this whole situation becomes so precarious, to where you really can't give like a finite, opinion on it, other than just, like first, initial feelings. I don't know. It's a thing that they could either really mess up, or it'll be one of those things where it's like, wow, this is like genuinely like mature of them to write a character in this way. But so.
I think that might be what it comes down to, is this is an enjoyable book. There's a lot of interesting elements in it, and good moments, and characters that are interesting to watch. But a whole lot of the core substance of the book, we can't give an opinion on until we know how it turns out and what they actually meant from it.
Yeah, it'll either get worse in the context of Shadow, or better. Yeah. And, either
it's
way,
all like,
we don't know.
Game of, was this intentional or not?
Right.
If they wake up tomorrow and say, yeah, Warrior Cats is doing character development now, I'll love Nightheart. I'll be like, wow, Nightheart is a great character.
Yeah.
If they made him realize his mistake, realize what was going on, self-reflect a little bit and change as a person, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can't believe they actually did this in Warrior Cats. Maybe Nightheart is good. But the problem is that I don't think that they want us to think that Nightheart is... I think that they want us to think that Nightheart is too impulsive. I would think they want us to think that Nightheart does too many backflips and shows off too much. But I do not think that they want us to think that Nightheart's perception of other people's judgments is wrong.
Right.
And that's the part of his character that I am the most uncomfortable with, is his perception of others.
Yeah, and they make them, because they make like characters like Sparkbelt so mean to him. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't think that they're gonna they're not giving us an argument. They're not giving us a way to show us that Nightheart is wrong.
I would love for him to get to come to an understanding with his mother, or like to make up with her or something like that. I don't think that's happening either.
I'd love for them to not flat out lie about what his childhood was like, but sure, fine. And if we can make up from that, great.
My hopes are not high. My hopes are not low. Warrior Cats. Sky.
So true.
That's
so true.
Okay, actually, you've given me a great idea. So, would anyone like to give 2 to 3 sentences of final thoughts?
I just gave you all the sentences I had.
I guess we'll see what lies in the shadows in the next book.
Oh,
that's a good one. That was great.
Very mysterious.
See what I did there? Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there you have it, I guess. I don't know.
And I guess, we'll have to check back in when the next book comes out. Thank you for coming, everybody. You've been great.
You're welcome, Sunnyfall of Sunnyfall YouTube channel on youtube.com.
Thank you, Hawkkz YouTube.
You're welcome.
Thanks. I needed a boost.
Oh yeah. So remember to check out the channels of everyone you saw here today in case you haven't heard of them before. They make some really great content.
Yeah, make sure to check out Moonkitti specifically, because last time she said she really doesn't like it when people go to her channel.
It's true,
so
yeah.
Definitely
She'll be very
don't do
uncomfortable.
That. Do the subscribe thing.
Oh,
do the notification bell thing.
Are you subscribed to Sunnyfall? Did you know only a small portion of viewers are subscribed to Sunnyfall?
But seriously, thank you all for coming on. And thank all of you for watching.